Oakland. The soul of the Bay and the town of titles, where the seeds of glory took root and blossomed into living legends. With the loss of certain leagues, isn't our legacy. The future of sports in Oakland has and will always be the people. The kid on the court of the Warriors Academy, ready to make a splash. The young people on the pitch poised to make their community proud. When the team turns its back, we throw our own fan fest. And when MLB left, we stole baseball back with the ballers at Ramondi Park. We have the roots and the soul, both on and off the pitch. We are ready for the rise of the Valkyries. We have the Oakland Arena, Oakland Coliseum, the Roots training facility, and the course that developed the Dubs dynasty. We have the vibes, we have the culture, we have the history and the future. This is Town Big, and it stays booming because it's always been for the people, by the people.
Welcome, Mayor Thao.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you to Oakland native musician Jay Walt for voicing that video. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today, and thank you to the council president, the members of the city council, our city attorney, our city auditor, our wonderful and dedicated city employees, and of course, our distinguished guests and our fellow Oaklanders. You know, every year, the mayor of this beautiful city is asked to give an update on the state of our city, to share where we stand as a community and where we aspire to go. And looking back on where we were this time just last year, where we are today is nothing short of inspiring for me. Sometimes in the day-to-day grind, we forget to zoom out a little bit, to look at the bigger picture. And when I look at the deeply impactful work that we have accomplished together in this past year, I am truly amazed. Sure, I get the honor of being here sharing this information, but what I'm about to brag about in regards to this city, it's not really just about me. This is a testament to all of you, all of us together. You see, last year's State of the City speech, I stood up here and I stated that public safety is my top priority, and that the surge in crime last year that we were experiencing was unacceptable. We had to take a hard look at our situation, and we had to act. We brought in a new police chief in Floyd Mitchell, a man of great integrity. We fully committed to the re-implementation of the ceasefire strategy, and in partnership with our excellent Oakland police officers and the Department of Violence Prevention, I can tell you today that crime is down. But let me be very clear that any life lost is one too many. But after experiencing over 120 homicides in each of the 3 years prior to my taking office, including 134 lives in 2021, we are on track this year for under 100. That's 30% less families reeling from tragedy. That is 30% less community members impacted by trauma and intergenerational trauma. It's also worth noting that burglaries, car thefts, and break-ins are all down. Speaking to our local business owners, they've even remarked that there's a lot less broken glass on the streets. That's a testament to the thoughtful, smart leaders running OPD and the Department of Violence Prevention and leveraging of technology in the city of Oakland. You see, last year, At this very time, right after the State of the City, this council unanimously approved my plan to add 290 flock cameras across the city. Those cameras, they've been popping up everywhere in the town. You all may have seen it. And we are seeing them in action now. OPD is already making positive arrests using the feeds from these cameras. And you better believe that if you are illegally dumping in our city, we will see you and there will be consequences. Don't do it. And looking to the future, we are actively working with the FAA and the Privacy Advisory Commission and the Police Commission to get our first responder drone program off the ground. In the near future, we will be able to respond faster to priority 1 calls by sending up our drone. A drone's live feed will arm our officers with up-to-the-second information to aid in their response. This will lead to safer responses from our officers and for the community. But bringing down our crime and making our communities safer isn't simply about enforcement and being reactive. It's also very critical to be proactive in the approach. That's why we re-implemented the ceasefire strategy and reorganized the Department of Violence Prevention, and it's working. So much so that the City of Oakland's progress in community violence intervention work is being recognized with national attention. A few months ago, our DVP chief, Dr. Holly Joshi, yes, Dr. Joshi's in the well. Dr. Holly Joshi was invited to speak at the White House about Oakland's approach to intervention. And we recently learned that we will be receiving $2 million grant from Vice President Kamala Harris's Office of Gun Violence Prevention and an additional $3 million grant from Kaiser Permanente for our Department of Violence Prevention. This will help us continue our work to keep Oakland safe. You see, DVP life coaches work with the highest risk individuals daily, supporting them with cognitive, behavioral, motivational, and trauma-informed approaches that offers off-ramps from dangerous lifestyles and creates a mindset shift and behavior modification. DVP violence interrupters are now proactively in our communities every day, mediating through conflicts and preventing retaliatory shootings. This is restoring Oakland's standing as a national leader in gun violence prevention. This is disrupting the school-to-prison pipeline and keeping Oakland safer. This is making a difference. This is saving lives in Oakland. But there's a difference. There is a difference between crime data going down and that feeling of feeling safer. And I recognize and I feel that very deeply. And when you need help the most, we need to make sure that someone is ready to respond to your call. And that is why we made the largest public safety IT investment in 2 decades to our 911 system. That work was already completed by our amazing IT team in June. Before this historic investment, we were at 36% success rate for answering 911 calls within 15 seconds. Now, today, we have improved to a 51% success rate while also handling more call volume. And we're only getting faster, stronger, and better as our newest hires in 911 dispatch are completing their full training and using the new state-of-the-art system. We, Oaklanders, are well on our way to reaching the state standard. And over the next 2 years, as your mayor, I commit to making sure no one is left on hold. You see, like the old 911 infrastructure, we are tackling our challenges head on. And when I took office, Oakland faced its worst budget deficit in its history. But we were able to pass a balanced 2-year budget without any layoffs. That means no layoffs to park staff, librarians, firefighters, or officers. None of them lost their jobs. That's important to me for 2 reasons. 1, we need an all-hands-on-deck approach to deliver services to Oaklanders. And 2, most city employees, they live right here in Oakland. They are a part of our community. And it matters to me that they're able to continue to provide for their families, buy school clothes, pay their rent, and feed their kids. In June, we worked with the City Council and we passed a mid-cycle budget, which included a contingency budget. This has allowed our administrative team flexibility as we closely monitor revenues and expenses during a very challenging budget season, not only for Oakland, but for all governments across the country. In the meantime, we also got creative and looked to find solutions to soften the financial burden we are facing by expanding our long-term tax base with targeted economic development, which is why we struck a deal that was years in the making to sell our half of the Oakland Coliseum to the African American Sports and Entertainment Group. This sale will bring in $125 million, with $110 million within this fiscal year, and lead to a multi-billion-dollar development in East Oakland. This investment, I want to be clear, into the Deep East is long overdue, decades overdue. And I am honored to be in the position to bring this community-led vision to reality. Look, I want to be clear that this deal was never going to be a silver bullet to solve our decades-long budgetary issues. But I am willing to work with community and city staff. But I am not willing to stand by idly while we are facing cuts to our police and fire resources. I will always look for a better path and a solution that will invest in every police officer and every firefighter that we have here in our city, to keep them on our streets and to keep them responding to your calls when you need them. Because Oakland, we know the real way to solve our budgetary challenges is through economic development, creating future revenue streams so that we don't have to keep asking our business owners and our residents to foot the bill. Because that's exactly what we've been doing for the last decade, every 2 years, is asking you all to foot the bill. To help that development, we've streamlined the rapid permit system by speeding up permit approvals to encourage more development here in the city. With Activate Oakland, we provided grants for community events that have resulted in a 20% increase in foot traffic downtown this year. And that means more support for small businesses, that means a safer pedestrian experience, and that means an increase in local revenue. Let's hear about a success story. One of our grantees, the Prescott Night Market in West Oakland, has been a huge success and will soon be moving into a brick and mortar location. And right next door, the Oakland Ballers worked with my administration and our phenomenal economic workforce and Parks and Rec department to launch the Bees. And more importantly, bring 100,000 smiling, spending, happy fans to Ramondi Park, a spot that was previously unplayable, not even by a Little League team. Now we have Ramondi Park that is home to the Oakland Ballers. And of course, our Oakland Roots, our soccer team, the Oakland Roots, will now be playing their 2025 season at the Oakland Coliseum, which will preserve game day jobs at that historic venue. So even as the current tenant, it's on their way out, we will be saving these jobs. Thank you to the Oakland Roots for staying rooted in Oakland. And ladies and gentlemen, despite what you've heard, the town is still representing on the sports stage. Now, did you know that the Bay Area is about to be the focus of the entire world of sports? Let me tell you how. In 2025, the NBA All-Star Game is coming to San Francisco with several official NBA events taking place right here at the Oakland Arena. And the Super Bowl and the World Cup are coming to the Bay Area in 2026. That is why we have formed our very own East Bay Host Committee to ensure, that Oakland has a voice in the process and a seat at the decision-making table. Our committee is composed of business leaders, local sports organization, and just recently, NBA legend Gary Payton enthusiastically joined our team. We have already held a very productive meeting with the Bay Area Host Committee and have more visits scheduled. We want to make sure that Oakland stays a part of the conversation and gets to host official watch parties, and that we see our local courts and our fields renovated. Because the future of Oakland sports has always been about our people, not the pro sports teams themselves. And our people, well, I gotta say this, we need more places to play. Isn't that right? And when people come from all over the world to experience our culture, our Oakland, and the entertainment that we have for them, they need to see a clean and safe city. In the past year, we have made major strides cleaning our streets and facing our challenges with encampments. We have led with compassion while recognizing the real solution is to build more affordable housing. We have cleared more than 250 encampments since I took office, including Wood Street, which was the largest encampment in Northern California, with 85% of its residents accepting supportive services. But we're not satisfied with just that. These problems, they didn't happen overnight. Not the illegal dumping, not the encampments, and not the blight. But with my executive order on the encampment management policy, we are protecting our critical infrastructure. We are protecting our schools, our parks, our public spaces, and our businesses. And we are offering shelter to everyone prior to clearing any encampment. And will continue to do so here in Oakland, even if our neighboring cities aren't holding themselves to the same standards. You see, shelter and services are putting our unhoused population on a path to dignified housing. And we are backing it up. You see, in 2024 alone, through our Housing and Community Development Department, we have 1,542 units of affordable housing under construction. Yes. And within the over 1,500 units under construction, 50% of these units are dedicated, that's right, to people who are exiting homelessness. Our HCD team served 985 households, with 84% of the people reporting that they would have lost their homes without this support. So we are preventing people from becoming homeless as well. And the city provided 1,500 emergency housing options for folks currently experiencing homelessness. And through Measure U, thank you to the voters, through Measure U, we've secured $350 million for creating and acquiring affordable housing. With state grants, we've obtained another $144 million to build and rehabilitate affordable housing sites. And we won't stop there. For today, I am announcing a task force of faith-based leaders to join me in advocating at every level, the county, the state, the federal level, to ensure that all of our elected leaders understand that we are in an affordable housing crisis and that cities cannot do this work alone. And I know that some of the task force members are here today, and I want them to stand so we can thank them for their service. You see, this is making a real difference. It takes time, but we are seeing the progress here in Oakland. And I know you're tired of the illegally parked RVs. I am too, but we have a plan for that. In December, our tow truck contract is expiring. And I have instructed the city administrator to open an RFP to multiple tow companies, not just one, because we need to have a little healthy competition here in Oakland to inspire a quicker response and for once and for all to get abandoned vehicles off our streets and out of our neighborhoods. When I hired Department of Transportation Director Josh Rowan last April, I said to him, Josh, could you give our people some kind of relief? Well, this year the DOT set an Oakland record by paving 47 miles of roadway and filled 53,000 potholes. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 53,000 potholes. And I know some of y'all are thinking like, well, they haven't filled mine. We're coming. We're coming. I see you. They're also tackling one intersection at a time with their innovative sideshow abatement measures, and they've leveraged the paving of High Street. You see, High Street is one of East Oakland's most important connective roads to work with. They worked with the community to identify not just traffic calming measures, but also pedestrian safety improvements between Foothill Boulevard and Tompkins Street. Their work rebuilding High Street was celebrated as the DOT Project of the Year. And speaking of awards, our Department of Race and Equity was named a 2024 All-American City finalist. Let's give it up for them. Not just that, our Planning and Building Department received an Opportunity and Empowerment Award of Excellence from the American Planning Association for our 2045 General Plan. And of course, our IT team won a 2024 Special Achievement in Geographic Information Systems Award. You see, this city can't be run or actually be addressed by one person. It takes all of us. We all have a role. And we can't discuss accolades without shouting out our incredible Oakland Fire Department led by Chief Damon Cove. Chief Cove. In May, the City Council formally adopted a 10-year vegetation management plan that was spearheaded by the Oakland Fire Department. This plan outlines a framework for managing fuel loads and vegetation on city-owned properties and along roadways in the city's very high wildfire zones. It is an actionable step to reduce the likelihood of a catastrophic wildfire, such as the one we saw in 1991 with the Oakland Hills fire. We know that if there is a fire in the Oakland Hills, that it will impact all of the city. This is yet another example of how we are all better when we work together, when we come together. These are illustrations of the tremendous progress we have made as a city, even in the face of great challenges. And as of today, October 15th, 2024, I can say with full confidence that the state of the city of Oakland is one of renewed progress. Now let's look forward. Here are some things that we are actively doing to change the game for Oaklanders. You see, Oakland is on its way to becoming the epicenter of green tech. This year, we unveiled the California Hydrogen Hub at the Port of Oakland, making Oakland only one of 7 cities picked to receive billions of dollars in federal funding to advance clean hydrogen energy while creating hundreds of good paying union jobs in the city of Oakland. And if you know me, you already know that I've already asked the question, well, these jobs are Oakland jobs, right? And that's absolutely right, 100% Oakland jobs, where we will train our workforce. This is how we close the racial wealth gap. It's ensuring that we have the workforce trained to take on these good paying union jobs. In March, we were one of 25 cities chosen by the Bloomberg Philanthropies to participate in the American Sustainable Cities Initiative. And the relevance And the selection of Oakland highlights our commitment to confronting climate change and addressing the racial wealth equity gap. And that is our commitment. We also want to make Oakland the home of the next iteration of Black higher education. That's why I have convened a task force to identify the best way to realize the goal of providing the first HBCU undergrad institution on the West Coast, which is the best coast. We have identified a site for the school, and we recently presented this idea to the member institutions of the United Negro College Fund. And I tell you, you all are going to want to be a part of this. Because again, this is history making. I am a big believer that we must have our kids go to schools that look like us and that represents us. And it is about time that Oakland is on the roadmap to be a host for HBCU, and that's what we're working on. And I said this last year, and I'll say it again. Oakland, our challenges are great, but our people are greater. I'm gonna say that again. Our challenges are great, but our people, we are greater. We're greater. This past year, we took many steps forward, and we aren't slowing down. I ended this very speech last year speaking about determination and what that word means to me. And I am unwavering in my belief that if we stay on this path together, if we stay determined and committed to moving Oakland forward as one, our town will thrive. We may not agree on everything. We may all have differing beliefs about how things should be done, but we are one Oakland. We are always one Oakland. In the words of J. Walt, Oakland, we have the vibes, we have the culture, we have the history, and we have the future. And the future is now, because when we fight, we win. Thank you, Oakland. I love you.